everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here in the channel, we're going to be talking about 1984's Body Double and its brand new Sony 4K Steelbook that just came out. But before we get into that 4K Steelbook review, I always like to give a quick film review, and today is no different. So if you want to know nothing about Body Double, please skip ahead to that 4K Blu-ray review right now. So Body Double was released 40 years ago, back in 1984. It is written and directed by Brian De Palma, who also co-produced this film. Brian De Palma is probably most famous for directing movies like Scarface, Mission Impossible, but he's also directed some great thrillers in there like Dressed to Kill and Blowout, which is actually my favorite of Brian De Palma's movies. Now, Brian De Palma has always paid homage to Alfred Hitchcock. He was like the second coming of Alfred Hitchcock. He took scenes right out of his movies. He took camera shots right out of his movies, plot points and themes right out of his movies. So you can clearly tell that Alfred Hitchcock had a huge inspiration on Brian De Palma. But this movie, Body Double, is the movie where Brian De Palma took the most from Alfred Hitchcock, in my opinion, because this movie takes a lot from Vertigo and Rear Window, and it's very, very obvious when you're watching the movie. Certain shots are right out of Vertigo, certain plot points are right out of Vertigo, and then obviously looking through a telescope, watching somebody across the way, that is right out of Rear Window, and you have all of that in this movie. And the thing about Alfred Hitchcock is, he stopped making movies by the early 1970s, right as Hollywood was changing, right as the code kind of faded away. So when Alfred Hitchcock was making these movies, his best movies in the 1950s and 1960s, he could never make an erotic thriller like this. A lot of that sexualization had to be hidden in the subtext of the movies. So with movies like Psycho, like, we know she's taking a shower, but we are not going to see her taking a shower. We're going to see the blood on the floor. We have to hide a lot of this kind of stuff. So all that sexualization, Brian De Palma doesn't have to worry about that stuff in the 1980s. So all of that is front and center in this movie as well. And this movie stars Craig Wasson as Jake Scully, who I'll always recognize from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. He plays the doctor in that movie, and just hearing his voice, he always plays this like really nice guy, and I wouldn't expect this character from him when I watch this movie. It's always so funny for me to see him in this movie and then seeing him in Dream Warriors, because they just, yes, they are the same actor, and he doesn't really change his voice too much, but they are very different characters. And he, he's a struggling actor. As we see early in the movie, he's got a job playing a vampire, and he has really bad claustrophobia. So I understand that. My dad has that. It's the reason why he won't take elevators. So he locks up. And the director, being the nice guy, he's like, I'll take the rest of the day off. We'll get this another time. This guy doesn't have the balls to fire him, so he has to find out the hard way. Then when he gets home, he catches his wife fucking another man. So things get really bad after that. He goes to the bar. Apparently, he has a drinking problem, but he's going to take up drinking again, wash down the pain. And then a guy played by Gregory Henry comes up. This guy named Sam, who apparently, he takes a liking to him. And he's like, you just need your break. You know what? I'm going to help you out. You need a place to stay? Well, I've been watching a buddy's house. Why don't you come over and you can do it for me, because I got a job overseas and I'm not going to be able to do it. I just need you over there to water the plants. He goes over there and he's like, hey, I know what you like. You're going to have to check this out. I have this telescope that goes right into this window over here, and you can see this woman do a little dance every single night. And this, you know what? Turns him on. He's kind of a peeping Tom. It gets brought up a lot in this movie, which of course, takes stuff right from Peeping Tom. Another thing that Brian De Palma is clearly paying homage to. And, the way that his character is, he kind of does have that shyness like the character from Peeping Tom. So again, all this stuff is in here. The apartment itself, I love this apartment. It's like in the sky. It's very 1980s. I love that design. I wish that's something we didn't move off of. I guess it's just like overkill, but again, I love the 1980s. I just love the look of the 80s. Having neon lights in there, man, it speaks right to me. The black carpet, I wish we would have had that. And then, of course, things start to get a little crazy. He sees a big Native American guy killing this woman that he's been basically just stalking. Him and this woman also have a scene that, again, right out of Vertigo before this, where they end up, he's kind of like stalking her and watching what she's doing. He's following her around, very similar to what James Stewart is doing in Vertigo. Again, similar shots right out of there. And they end up, that obsession really is what's controlling him. So when he sees this girl get killed, and again, this is where we get right into Vertigo, he starts to go a little bit crazy. And he thinks he sees another girl that looked just like the girl get killed. And this is where we get introduced to Melanie Griffith's character. And this is where I'll stop talking about what the plot of this movie is because, I mean, my God, it goes a little bit off the rails in the best way possible. And when I talked about Maxine earlier this year, I don't think I brought up the fact that that took a lot from Body Double. I would say that the two movies Maxine took the most from were Body Double and American Gigolo. Just the era, Los Angeles, California, Hollywood, took so much from those two movies. And it also took a lot of the crazy twists that this movie has, but it kind of takes it to the next level. So when people were kind of complaining about the ending to that movie and how like wild it is, I mean, I direct you to this movie because it gets so wild at the end of this movie. Like, you might be pretty damn shocked. I don't find it that shocking now because obviously I've seen the movie before, so I knew it was coming. But this movie is just an absolute blast. One of the best erotic thrillers that you'll ever see. I mean, I just have so much fun watching this movie as a fan of Alfred Hitchcock. Seeing Brian De Palma pay homage, even though he's like completely lifting stuff right from Alfred Hitchcock, he does it in the best and I guess the most tasteful way possible, because then, you know, Maxine and Ty West take from this movie. So it's just a long chain of making great horror thrillers. That's why Maxine is one of my favorite movies this year. We just don't get those kinds of movies anymore, and this was one of the better ones in the 1980s. Is it my favorite Brian De Palma film? No, but I think this would definitely be in my top 5 Brian De Palma movies. This I actually enjoy more than movies like The Untouchables, which are a little bit more mainstream. Like, this is the kind of movie you probably shouldn't watch with the whole family. There is a lot of sex scenes and a lot of nudity, and then when you get to the end credits, what they're talking about, again, my God, just check out Body Double if you haven't seen it. Just don't watch this with your kids. They should not see this movie until they're like 21 years old. But anyway, it's a great film. Definitely check this one out if you haven't seen it. And let's talk about this 4K Steelbook from Sony. Well, here it is, the 4K Steelbook from Sony for Body Double, and this is what Sony's been doing lately. They've just been giving us the 4K Steelbook. If you guys saw my review of La Femme Nikita, that was only a Steelbook as well. So you're only going to get the Steelbook option, no standard edition. And when you come inside, you have 2 discs. You get a Blu-ray and a 4K Blu-ray. It did also come with a digital code, so if you win the digital code giveaway, that is one of your options. I kind of like the Steelbook. It's a little bit generic, kind of how I felt about La Femme Nikita. Nothing too special, but it's fine. If there was a standard edition, I probably would have got that over the Steelbook, but just because it doesn't really blow me away. But it is fine, like I said. You really care about the discs that are in there. That Blu-ray disc, I'm pretty sure is the previously released version of this because it only has the DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 on there, and there was a difference in the visuals if you go from that Blu-ray to the 4K Blu-ray. But because it is a Sony Blu-ray, it is definitely a high-quality Blu-ray. Still looks really good. So when you go to 4K Blu-ray, it might not be the biggest jump that you've ever seen in the world, but the big jump is really in that audio. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about the extras because they are only available on that Blu-ray. And it's a bunch of featurettes that if you hit play all, you'll get a 51-minute making of documentary, where it's mostly an interview with Brian De Palma with some other interviews sprinkled in there as well. But man, you get a real insight into what Brian De Palma was thinking when he was making this movie, talking about Dress to Kill, and that's really where he got the idea for this movie and having a body double be a big part of the film itself. Again, that also takes a lot from Vertigo. And then there's some old archival interviews from when they were making the movie, the trailer, and I believe a still gallery, and that was it for the extras. So the extras, I really like that making of documentary. That's the best part of it. I really enjoyed that. The interviews and everything else, they were just fine. I would have liked some new stuff, but it's to be expected to not get that new stuff. Now, what about the audio? The DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 is pretty good, but that Dolby Atmos track is definitely a better option. Did it blow me away? No, it didn't, even though I really enjoyed the score to this movie. It wasn't something that knocked my socks off, but it was definitely very well mixed. It's just, I wasn't expecting the greatest Atmos track, and it's another one of those Atmos tracks where it's definitely really good. I don't want to sell it short. It's mixed. They're moving the audio around, but it's not something that just blew me away. It's something that's just really good. That's all I could say. And again, because the previous audio track I didn't really mind, and you could check that audio track out as well on the 4K disc, but it's the only track on the Blu-ray disc. The Atmos track, you have to watch the 4K Blu-ray to check it out. You can just switch it to the DTS if you wanted to. Now, what about the visuals? Well, you're going to get HDR10 and Dolby Vision, so you get the best of both worlds here. I didn't see too much of a difference between the HDR10 and the Dolby Vision. You will maintain that film grain, which I know a lot of people are going to appreciate, because this really is the definition of just cleaning up that scan, because it just looks so much better better in the details. Not as much in the colors. This isn't one where the colors are going to pop off the screen. We kind of maintain that faded look. Very similar to American Gigolo, which was released by Arrow Video. It's like if you go to a scene where Jake's in his apartment, you look at the neon lights. If you look at the Blu-ray, you know, the colors look a little bit flat, and now you're going to see them look a little bit sharper on the 4K Blu-ray, and it's going to be a little bit brighter while maintaining that same deep black. Now, there's a lot of close-ups in this movie, and this is where you're really going to see the 4K Blu-ray shine, is in the details on the face, on the hair. All that stuff looks more natural and realistic. I just wish that the colors were a little bit more bolder and just a little bit denser. That's my only real complaint. I felt like they could have done that, and Sony for the most part has done that, so I was a little bit surprised that I wasn't in love with the colors on this 4K Blu-ray. They're more than fine. I have really not too many complaints. That would be the only complaint I have about the 4K Blu-ray. I love that we maintain that film grain. I love the jump in detail. It still does have good color. It's just something that I didn't think had great color. So overall, I do think it's a really good 4K Blu-ray from Sony. It's definitely worth your time and money, and they haven't been overcharging for this. Yes, we also get the previously released Blu-ray, which is something that other studios like Warner Brothers have pretty much stopped doing, so that's very disappointing, but it's nice to see. The only complaint I also have is that, you know, we don't get a standard edition, which might upset some people who don't love Steelbooks. You know, I'm kind of indifferent on it, so yeah, the Steelbook didn't blow me away, but it's also something that I don't really mind. And I was pretty happy with this, mainly because I really do love this movie, and we've been very fortunate to get a lot of Brian De Palma movies on 4K Blu-ray. So this is one I was definitely happy to add to my collection. I can definitely recommend that you add this to your collection as well. And what would I give this 4K Blu-ray at a score of 1 to 10? I would give Brian De Palma's Body Double on 4K Blu-ray from Sony a pretty damn solid 8.5 out of 10. And guys, it's also Tuesday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. So I'm going to kick it over to my future self right now. That is correct, guys. It is Tuesday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. In every single video that we do on Friday, I'm going to ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you had to do was answer 1 in the comment section. As long as you did that, you came back to this video right here. I put your name on a magic wheel, spun that wheel 2 times, the 2 names it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And we are also going to be doing our channel members giveaway. So if you are a channel member, I also put your name on a magic wheel, spun that bad boy 1 time, and that name has their choice of the following 4K Blu-rays. Thor Love and Thunder on 4K Steelbook, 2012 on 4K Blu-ray, really good 4K. The Core on 4K Blu-ray, Super 8 on 4K Blu-ray, The Lost Boys on 4K Blu-ray, and then last but not least, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on 4K Blu-ray. So let's do our channel members wheel first. Alright, congratulations, Frank from Frank's Media Reviews. Frank is my good buddy, so I'll reach out to him and see what he wants to pick from those 4K Blu-rays. And now let's do our digital code giveaway. Alright, congratulations, Cat Daddy Carnage and the Mystery Blu-ray Collector. Both of you guys have won in the past. Actually, Cat Daddy Carnage won a couple weeks ago. After a very long cold streak of not winning, Cat Daddy Carnage's luck seems to be changing around. One of our longest supporters, if not the longest supporter of this channel, is Cat Daddy Carnage, which I will always appreciate. Thank you so much, buddy. I really do appreciate all that support. So, of course, reach out to me at my email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com. Let me know which of the digital codes you want. As long as the other winner didn't take it, that one is all yours. We just really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Get out in those streets and tell your friends about us. And then we'll be seeing you around.